What's up, guys? Matt at Churchfront here. We are actually at River City Baptist Church just for one day. They wanted to do a project. They're actually doing a lot of stuff over the next year or so, but they wanted to get kickstarted with some stuff that they could do on their own. And this is a great thing for you guys to think about if you're on a limited budget, but you guys want to do something. And they did a fantastic job. We'll get some shots of this, but around this room, there are all these pendant lights. These are the house lights that we spec from Pro Church Lights, but they installed them themselves. All the front lighting you see above you, and we'll get some shots of that too. They've got a couple movers up there and a ton of washes. They installed all of it themselves. The kick washes that are up behind me, the wall washes that are behind me. They're still working on their pixel sticks, but they are actually installed. These pixel sticks run off of a brain, but that brain is then talking to LightKey, and that will have connection to LightKey and work from LightKey along with all these other lights. But they did all of this themselves, and really I'm just coming here today to help them tie it in together. I'll show you some things that I did on their computers, connecting LightKey and ProPresenter and playback so that it all talks to each other and that nobody needs to go in week after week and make stuff talk and make stuff connect, so that you can get MIDI commands from playback to ProPresenter and from ProPresenter to LightKey. A lot of us deal with that on a week in, week out basis. I'll show you what I did there, but really what I came in to help them do today was just aim some lights. We installed the Pro Kicks this morning because they didn't quite have that done. And then we plugged in the pixel stick lights just to make sure that those functioned, and we got those working. And one other thing they did here is they actually installed cloud panels on their ceiling because they had a really echoey room. It's still a little echoey, but it is so much better than it was. And they installed all these panels themselves. And this just goes to show you that if you're on a budget and you really have to get things done cheap and you can't afford the labor, you can do a lot of this stuff yourself if you're willing to work hard. So we'll get some shots of all these cloud panels, of all these lights, so that you can kind of look at it and kind of see for yourself what you can do if you get the right people involved to help you. And they actually did what's called the hybrid package through Pro Church Lights, where Pro Church Lights sends you all the lights, but then they also send you plans for everything. So they tell you exactly where wires need to be run, exactly what power needs to be run, so that you can then go and do it all yourself. But I love what they've done here, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that they've been able to accomplish because of what they installed here so far. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, they actually installed these cloud panels themselves. These are from Prime Acoustics, and they did a fantastic job. You'll see how easy these are to install. They're really just a couple of eye hooks with some cable on them, and they just suspend from your ceiling. And one of the problems that this building had is it was a lot of low-end rumble. And they might even still do some more acoustic treatment in the future, but this really cut down on some of the low-end rumble quite a bit, so it made this room sound quite a bit better. Like I said, it's still a little echoey in here, but you don't want to go completely dead in a church building. You don't want your congregation to feel like they're in a studio. You want them to feel like there's some life to the room. And I think this did a great job of getting really good results just with something that they were able to install themselves. So if you're looking for a way to get your audio in your room better, start here. Start with panels. People always want to upgrade their speakers first. They always want to upgrade their soundboard first. It's the least sexy thing in your sound system that you can install is sound panels, but in all honesty, it does the most good. So really think about this if you've got a rough room that you can't mix in. Cool. And we'll be back here at a later date to install a new mixing solution for them. They're going to go with a Waves LB1 most likely. They're going to add some cameras. They're going to add a new Blackmagic switcher, and they're going to do some more stuff. But they wanted to kickstart their build with just the lighting setup and these cloud panels. And I tell you what, they did an absolutely fantastic job. So let's go to the booth and we'll show you some of the stuff they can do now with this new Pro Church Light setup. Some of the stuff that River City added here with Wes and his team is they added some Pro Church bars, Pro Church Lights Pro Bar. And if you look up on the stage, we'll have the camera pan of the stage here. That's these guys lighting up their back wall. Give you an idea of what they can do. They have 8 of those bars back on that wall. And it's basically a full RGB AW device. So you've got white, you've got amber, and you've got a full color wheel here that you can go nuts with. So another thing they added was the pixel sticks. If you look over in the corner there, we'll turn those up and down, but that's kind of up and down all the way. You'll see all the different colors we can pan through with those. You can really have a lot of fun with these pixel sticks. Some other things they did for their front wash, they added a couple of these Zoom Pro 12 movers. If I turn everything else off here, and we'll just have those movers on. You can kind of see how bright those movers are on the wall. And the beautiful thing about these is they actually have a wide zoom range too. So if you look up there, I'll aim them on the wall here so Wes can get a shot of this. By the way, shout out to Wes, my camera guy for the day. He's not only a worship pastor, he is also a camera guy. But see how focused you can make those beams, but you can also really widen them out and wash a wide stage with those things. So they're great lights if you just need a couple movers that you want to get a lot of different places with. And another light that we use in a lot of our churches is the Pro Wash. You can't really see those too much because really it's just, and that's the beauty of a good front wash, is you don't see it as much from the congregation, you see it on the stage. But if I were to turn those movers off completely, that's their front wash with just the Pro Washes. It's a great even light across the entire stage. And that's basically what they're using for their entire front wash. And then of course we needed some hair light, so they added some kick lights. Let's can pan up there again. We've got full RGB W kick lights. These are the Pro Kicks from Pro Church Lights. You can do a lot of cool stuff with those. And they went with a very simple setup with lighting here, but it really does look so good. You can do a lot with a little if you're willing to put in the work yourself. So, and then of course, I mentioned them earlier, but the pendants, I can't get enough of these guys. Super bright house lights, but that we can send in whatever color we want. So this auditorium seats about 250, and we have exactly 20 pendants that really aren't up that high. So that means you can get extra bright, but kind of give you an example of how much light these pendants put off. They can get really, really bright. They look fantastic. I love these things. So what Wes is able to do with these lights here at River City that I absolutely love is he's able to bring the vibe, bring the colors, the design that he's working on his stage out into the congregation and really make it feel more like they're a part of it rather than just being spectators, right? So you're able to actually add colors, and you'll see if I switch to song 1 and we set all these scenes up for him, the house lights actually go to this orange. We got some kind of teal and purple on stage that goes with their background that they're doing for their first song. Song 2 is kind of more of a bluish look in the congregation. Song 3 is got more of an orange look again. And then song 4 at the end of their service, they're going with more of an orange look. But being able to bring those colors throughout the whole auditorium is really awesome. So one of the things that I helped Wes do here at River City is create some macros to control his lights. And I'm going to show you a little bit how to do that, kind of the quick and dirty way to do that here. All Wes has to do when he comes on a weekly basis is grab the macro for song 1, and whatever song 1 is up, or whatever song, all he has to do is grab the macro for song 1, and whatever song that falls under, for this week it's You're My All in All, just drag that macro here. That macro is going to fire the song 1 settings, and I have a couple other things going there too. It also changes the stage display. They're using playback solutions here. So when I click it though, you will have seen that went to song 1 here, so the light's fired. So the lighting guy doesn't actually need to do anything for a song. All he does is fire the first slide of the song, which actually in most cases, in Wes's case, that's going to be done from playback. So that's going to happen automatically. The stage display is going to go to what it needs to go to automatically. The lighting set is going to go there automatically. So what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of a sample of how to set this up for yourself if you want to make computers talk to each other either over the network, or like this instance, you have a computer that has 2 applications open and you want to go from one to the other. There's a ton of different ways to do this, but I've developed a method that I find really, really reliable. So it fails very rarely and it works just about every time you turn the computer on. So let's get into that. So what we want to do is for every single connection we want this computer to make, we're going to create what's called an IAC driver bus. That way, every single communication line that needs to be connected will have its own port to connect to. Think of it as a literal physical port that you're plugging a cable into one application and then plugging into another application. So in this instance, what you would do is you would open up Audio MIDI Setup. I'm going to quit it. We're going to search for it so you see what it looks like. Audio MIDI Setup. Once I pull up Audio MIDI Setup, if you do not see this MIDI Studio, you would go up here to Window, you would click Show MIDI Studio. Once this is open, I'm sure a lot of you guys have walked through the network settings on this. We're going to skip that. I'm going to show you a better way to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a driver, and what I'm going to do is set one up for each and every single connection I want to make. By default, when you open this up for the first time, this is going to be unchecked. You need to check the box that says devices online. So you can create as many buses as you want here, but I create a bus for every connection that I want this computer to make. So in this instance, ProPresenter to light key, that's going to happen on the computer, and then ProPresenter to playback, that's going to happen from this computer to the MacBook that we have right here in front of us that's running playback to run slides. So all I do is I create those buses. Once you do that, this is important, quit whatever applications are open, quit light key, quit ProPresenter, quit playback, once you've done these connections, and then reopen them so that you can find the right connection. Once you've done that, we're going to jump over to ProPresenter. We're going to open up Command Comma, brings up the settings. We're going to go to devices, and you'll notice I have 2 connections here. You just create a new one. If you're doing this from scratch, I would name it MIDI. I would go into the settings. I would make it a MIDI, core MIDI device. I would select where I want the source to come from. Since I've already done this, I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy and show you what I have on light control. If I disconnect it and go to settings, I am basically, this is the MIDI connection in ProPresenter that I'm sending MIDI information out of. So all I need is a destination. And I selected the ProPresenter to light key IEC bus that I named as my destination for that. Go back, click connect. And then for the playback control, again, if you go into settings, all I want is I want that to receive information from playback. So I go into the sources here and click on ProPresenter to playback as my source. Now we'll jump over here. I don't have a screen record set up on this, but we did the exact same thing on this laptop. We created an IEC bus here and we named it playback to ProPresenter. And then in the settings of playback, if you guys are familiar with this, you probably played around with this a lot, but you'll see that we have IEC driver playback to ProPresenter. That's where we're running this. So once you've done that, you go to each individual computer, each individual application on each computer, and you just tell it to send information to those IEC buses. Once you set up each and every one of those applications to send to the correct IEC bus, what we're going to do is connect those IEC buses to each other. So if it's internal, like this first one, that's all you have to do. Once you create the IEC bus, light key will actually listen to every single MIDI input on the entire computer. So you would just create that IEC bus, you would create a MIDI note. What I did is I just create a macro, and then I add an action. You add a communication action, and you add a light control. That's what I named it for my ProPresenter connection. MIDI note on, make sure it's at least at an intensity of 1. And then once you add that, you can very quickly assign that to light key by going here to light. If I were to click on here, click external control, add trigger, click on walk in again, it will have assigned that to the same note that I already had to walk in. So if I were to click walk in, it's going to actually activate both. So I'm going to undo that by going to Command E and light key, go to the one I just added. So I have 2 lights being fired by the same MIDI note. I'll just delete this second one. Perfect. So once you have all of those set up, now it's literally all you have to do is create macros for every single MIDI note that you want to create a light command for. Now, I promised you I'd show you how to connect 2 computers using this. So what we did is we downloaded an application called Boom Network Pro. Once you've downloaded Boom Network Pro onto both computers and you have put in your credentials so that the license is activated, you would go ahead and show this. It's going to pop up here in the corner. I suggest make it when it asks you if you want to fire it up with every single time you start the computer, say yes. You go in here, you connect the computers. Once you have connected the computers, make sure to go into the settings for these and auto accept connections from that computer moving forward in the future. And then once you've done that, what I do is I go into that computer and I turn on only the connection that I want. In this instance, I want the connection on this computer that is named IEC driver ProPresenter to playback. Then I go to the MIDI router and it'll have a bunch of stuff already pre-assigned in here. I don't want any of it. I turn every last one of them off and I add my own. So I'll actually delete this one so you can see me do it. And what I do is I click this plus button and I add. And what I want to add is I want to add the IEC driver from this computer, which is named playback to ProPresenter, to the IEC driver on the other computer that is named ProPresenter to playback. Click add. And now, as easy as that, we've already gone through all the process of making sure this is selecting the correct playlist, item and playlist. And all I have to do is click play.
2, intro, 2, 3, 4.
And it fired that slide over there. If I were to skip to the next song,
1.
Again, we've already done the work of
2.
Playlist item
Intro,
number.
2, 3, 4.
It's connected. The beautiful thing about Boom Network Pro is that it's going to make that handshake between the two IC drivers every single time both computers start up. You never have to reconnect. I shouldn't say never. You very, very rarely have to reconnect it. So I hope that helps some of you in the process of trying to make sure your stuff talks to each other. If you like this video, go ahead and click on the like button, subscribe to our channel. We're gonna have a ton more content like this coming out in the future to help you lead gospel-centered and tech-savvy worship. Thanks for checking it out. We'll see you in the next video.